Hi everyone, I'm Holly from Hand Printed and I'm here to talk to you about Ternes Burton pins and tabs. We have these at the Hand Printed shop and we use them in the studio all the time. They are an amazing way of upping your registration game. If you are making relief prints at home, you're doing multi-block or reduction lino cut, even if you're doing single layer blocks, it can really help to have a foolproof registration system that you know is going to work every time. You start off with a pair of these Ternes Burton pins and they come in two different heights, and a stack of these Ternes Burton stripping tabs. The pins and the tabs fit together like that. The pins go on a board, the tabs go on your paper, and then you know every time you put your paper down and clip them in, your paper's going to go down in exactly the same place every single time. So my project today, I'm going to do a really simple multi-block lino cut, just using 2 blocks. Just a quick one to show you guys the way in which I use them and the way in which you can use them to help with all your registration when you're relief printing. Your first job when using Ternes Burton pins is to prep your board. This is just the back of a picture frame. So you want something a reasonable size, a little bigger than the work you're going to be using. Your Ternes Burton pins go at the top, so they come in a pair. They're flat with the little tab that sticks out at the top. So they stick down. These have been stuck down with some parcel tape. Because I'm doing multi-block, I'm going to change my block. So I've got some pieces of mount board stuck down with parcel tape so that the block fits really snugly into that gap. If you're doing a multi-block, make sure that you've got 2 blocks exactly the same size. So I've found 2 that are pretty much exactly the same size. They both fit in this gap and can't move at all, so that is perfect. If you're doing a reduction lino cut, you're going to stick with the same block the whole way through, in which case you can stick your block down. You can see here where we used some double-sided tape in a previous block. The next thing to do is prep the paper with the tabs. The tabs come in packs of 20 or packs of 100, and they look like this, and they are usable over and over again. You need 2 tabs for every piece of paper in your edition. So if you are printing an edition of 10, then you need 20 tabs. So the first thing to do before getting messy with any ink is to set up your edition with paper, and you do this whole lot at the beginning. You lay your paper over the top. These tabs just clip into the pins there. I'm now going to use bits of masking tape to stick them to the paper. So there's one piece of paper prepped. I now take off the tabs from the pins and this paper is ready to go. You need to do this for every piece of paper in your edition. So at this point, you've got your board prepped with your pins. You've either got a carved piece of lino stuck down here, or lino wedged in with some bits of mount board, depending on what type of printing you're doing. And now you know that every time you take your piece of paper, any of your pieces of paper, and put them on the pins, that paper is going to go down in exactly the same place, because our lino hasn't moved, our pins haven't moved, and our tabs are stuck to the paper. This means that your registration is going to be bang on every single time, but it also means that if you miss a little bit for inking, or you've got flaws in your inking, you can re-ink, put your paper down again, and take your print again, which is fantastic because it means that a print that may have ordinarily been a misprint can be saved. You can print using these by hand burnishing. All of this can go through a press. We put them in our relief printing press or in a roller press with blankets over the top. So you can draw onto your lino using pencil, pen, however you usually do it. Carbon paper, the red carbon paper is fantastic. But I like to sometimes prep a piece of tracing paper with Ternes Burton pins, and then I know that I can transfer my drawing in exactly the same place on both of my blocks, which means that not only is my paper going down in the same place on each block because it's wedged in and because of the Ternes Burton pins, I know that my drawing is going to match up on either block. So that's another nice way to use the Ternes Burton pins as an extra. So I'm going to print using Schmincke water-based ink. I'm going to use copper and I'm going to use ivory black. Okay, so I've got my paper. All I do is hold it off the block, snap in the pins and the tabs together, and then lay down my paper. So there's my first layer. So because I'm doing multi-block, I have the choice to either continue to print with this layer and do my whole edition, which does make sense because I have got a wet block and I've got the ink rolled out in a wet roller, so I could do the whole thing. But because this is a multi-block and not a reduction cut, I can go back and forth between the two blocks. So for now, I'm just going to take this block out of here, pop my second block in, make sure it's really tight and snug in there. And print my second colour. Got my first colour here, holding it above the ink, snap the tabs in place, rest it down and take the print. And here's my second colour. So now I've got a couple of my prints, I can go and print the rest of my edition at leisure. I want to keep the Ternes Burton pins on the board and the tabs on the paper until I've completely finished everything. And when you're done with that design, you can unpeel the pins from the board if you like and use them again and again. You can use the tabs and the pins over and over. Let us know how you got on, or if you have any questions, we'd be really happy to help you. Happy printing!